It is 7 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean, 6 p.m. in Jamaica, and 5 p.m. in Belize. Good evening and welcome to this Facebook Live session edition of Let's Talk Access, a social media program produced and presented by the UWI Open Campus. I am your co-host, Cleveland Sam, and with me tonight is Cherise Glasgow, who is my co-host. Cherise?
Good night, Dr. Sam, and good night to everyone who is joining us from wherever they are in the Caribbean diaspora. Tonight is a very special episode of Let's Talk Access. Let's call it the Testimonial episode. Our guests tonight are two former Open Campus students. We have Miss Lisa Dottin, who is a Barbadian and who recently completed her studies. And we have Mrs. Donna Wallace, who is a Jamaican who also recently completed her studies. Lisa and Donna, congratulations and welcome to Let's Talk Access. Lisa,
Thank
please
you so
tell us
much.
your story.
Okay. Hi, everyone. As was so nicely stated, I'm Lisa, hailing from the beautiful island of Barbados. And I am really glad to be able to share my story with everybody watching and listening this evening. So let me first say that I am an educator by choice. I love it. And that is actually what threw me into walking through the doors of UWI Open Campus in Cave Hill. So I guess I'll just take you back a bit to bring you forward. So for me, I love teaching. And one of the things I realized is that I wanted to be able to be more effective and be part of the change or the positive change, I would say, in education. So I said, okay, well, Lisa, you got to step this thing up. You're going to have to go and get more qualified. But for me, then I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do all these, long classes at night, being away from home and so on. At the time, I believe my daughter was about 5 or so. And also, I take care of my brother who has special needs. So I'm thinking, I can't quite do this. So I can't even remember when I found out about the UE Open Campus program. But I went up and everything, and I spoke to a lovely lady, Althea. She was just great. She explained everything to me. Because for me, I must admit, though, it was a touchy area. Because when I first tried to pursue graduate studies, it was at a time when I found out then that my mom was terminally ill. So here was I all ready to pursue my studies. And then I realized that I had to withdraw from the program. And so, you will not be able to progress the way you would want to. So I decided I'm going to go this way again. At the time when I first started, I will tell you this, I told myself, I cannot study online. I was telling everybody, but I'm a talker. I like the teacher right in front of me there and talking to me and all. I can't do this online thing. So that was the most hilarious part, because I think everybody was like, you're studying online? But I must say, after I did there was like an orientation course, you do at the beginning to get you all affiliated. After I did that, I was like, okay, I can do this. And I started my journey. Now, when I got my acceptance, I was quite happy. And I looked at my role at school and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I can handle this. This is okay. Then I realized that I received a promotion at work. So here was I now in a more senior role. And I said to myself, okay, a bit more than I expected, but I can still handle this. And then our school, wonderful institution, the Ellerslie School, we added a sixth form offering CAPE subjects. And then I was, given a call, hey, we're going to need you to teach some sixth. I'm like, okay. So here was I now thinking I'm just going to be studying, and I'm in a new role. And then I'm also now teaching new subjects that I haven't taught before that would require research and so on, because this is now at a tertiary level, really, that I'm teaching these students. So I started the program. And along the way, I have to say one of the greatest things for me was meeting teachers and persons who were working in different facets of education from across the region. I used to travel to various Caribbean countries like every 2 years or so. So Donna, I've been to your lovely island a good couple times, about 5 or so. So Jamaica's lovely. And when I met all these other educators and, you swap stories and you realize, okay, I'm not alone, they're facing some of the same challenges. And so we were able to, pardon?
I said, indeed, yeah.
Exactly. And we were able to troubleshoot together and swap ideas. That part was beautiful. And I was even able to connect with some other Barbadians who were doing the program. One of the things I would say that stuck out to me positively, for sure, I thought my lecturers were fabulous because, you're coming from the perspective of being a teacher, have studied before, you would have done your first degree and so on. And meeting upon these lecturers who were aimed at my success, that was a shocker. You always hear stories, lecturers, they failure rate. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But the lecturers were fabulous. They pushed you,
Right.
they pushed you to operate at the graduate level, which is expected. But I was taught, I was coached, I was guided, that kind of stuff from me was fabulous. And even the netiquette, the fact that within a certain time frame you send an email and within a certain time you get a response, and it was refreshing. It was refreshing. And I'm going to wind up soon and give Donna her opportunity, but let me just say, one of the toughest points, I guess, for most people in graduate studies is the research paper at the end, that when you're at the last leg, like running a marathon, and you're like, I am so tired, I can't finish this race. My research supervisor, Dr. Learmont, oh, she was so fabulous. And one thing I must say, she pushed, but it forced me to operate at the level that I needed to operate at. And I must say, no, I'm being caught here. I did borrow quite a few teaching methods and methodologies from the UE Open Campus. It was beautiful. The ideas, the varied approaches to teaching and learning, for me, that was exciting. And over the journey, I have to say, I know most persons, you look at your lecturers, but I find if family isn't committed to the journey with you, uh, you'll be going on the journey and you will feel like you're going on it alone. And I must say, my husband was so supportive throughout this whole process. Of course, he rejoiced when I finished too, but he was really supportive. So I tell him that very often, and I'm really pleased to be able in this public forum to be able to say my husband Dwayne Dottin, really supportive
Awesome,
during the
Dwayne.
process.
Awesome, Dwayne.
Kudos to him, right? And even my daughter during the journey, because I was concerned, for her being a bit young. The only thing, I think they ate a little bit too much fast food, maybe watched a bit too much TV because the cooking kind of went on a, all-time low. But I will end with this thought. I remember my daughter saying to somebody, she said, my mommy goes to grown-up school, but she can still tuck me in. Yeah, she called it grown-up school, but she can still tuck me in at night and she can still read my bedtime story. And she was recounting how I would have the laptop, on one leg and the book, and I'm writing and she's on the other leg and she's falling asleep. And for me, I think that was the most touching part of the experience, that I was still able to give of myself to my family and still grow and learn in the process. So for me, I must say it was overall a wonderful experience. Wonderful.
Wow. Are you
Yeah.
impressed or what?
I must say I was very impressed for the whole process.
All right. So now we have heard you, and we're going to come back because you had so many bits and pieces in there. We'll definitely come back to some of that. But we're going to go to our other guest, who is actually an Open Campus employee as well. I just found out today. But your story is a little different, Donna. So tell us about your story.
For me, it's a bit different because
Hi, Donna. I think you have muted yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
my life began at 30 in the working world because of different reasons. And despite the fact that I had a difficult upbringing where I had challenges with my father and didn't get help from him, and I was on the street one day when I was approached by Mr. Carter. As according to him, he says, who was the then lecturer and head of open campus at the time, resident tutor. He says that he saw me crying and I needed a job. So I got the job. Upon getting the job, I didn't have any qualifications, and this made it a bit challenging. However, because of the type of person I was and Salham, I decided, well, if I'm at a teaching institution, there's no way I should leave there without being qualified. So at that age, I started trying to get some subjects, doing it while at work, trying to get the subject, pay for the subject in January, still pay for it in September because I know that I wouldn't pass it. And eventually, I got enough open campus, which was School of Continuing Studies at the time. I tried the different courses that was offered. And despite the fact that I had to do major surgery, have other challenges and so forth, I stick to it. I remember Mrs. Sheila Carter or Dr. Carter, she says to me, you know what happened? You are, the word that best describe me is stick-to-itiveness. And I was wondering what she mean by that. She says, the fact that you stick to something, you never stop until you get it, you will achieve. And I know one day you'll have something behind your name. To me, I saw it far-fetched because many times person says, you know, I don't think that's your job. I don't think you can manage. And the negative things always come back and make me feel so bad at times, but I stick to it. And because of sticking to it, I did most of my courses at Open Campus and moved from there. And then I remember when I was transferred, because for 12 years, I work in admin, both in customer service and the admin department. So upon completion of many things, I decided that, well, I think I need to go further. And from that, I applied to university and I got through. And that bring about a whole new heap of challenges because it wasn't easy.
Wow, wow. Two very different but equally moving stories, Sharice.
Yes, very much so.
All right. So, Lisa, we have heard your story, one of family support, extreme family support, whereas for Donna, some of that support was lacking. But because of stick-to-itiveness, she's here today to testify that she is graduating with a bachelor's degree in January. Yes, I think that deserves a round of applause. Thank you, Lisa. All right. So Donna, tell us, when you're an employee at the Open Campus and you were also taking courses at the Open Campus, what type of courses did you take at the Open Campus?
Well, I tried to do the subjects, so I end up with about 5 subjects. Then I did, at the time they were offering like introduction to computers, so I did that. I did Word, Excel, I did PowerPoint. They did a little, at one point they were offering a little programming, so I did that. I did customer relation and telephone techniques. Then I moved on to 1 year supervisory management, 1 year marketing. And I went back and did the what is I call modern, which is the Microsoft Excel PowerPoint. So I did all of those at Open Campus.
Right. And those would have qualified you for your bachelor's degree.
That's correct.
Wow, awesome stuff. Cherise?
So Donna, based on what you were just saying, how were you able to use those skills at the same time? Because you were acquiring them and you were working. How were you able to transform those skills into your everyday work life?
Well, that was good because I was able to work with the telephone, serving the customer service department for many years. And two, after working in admin for about 12 years, I was transferred to the library, and then I'm there 8 years now in the library. So from customer service to admin, back in the library as customer, as library clerk. And then from the library clerk, I saw the need where I need to get qualified and educate myself more. So hence, I applied to the university. That too posed a challenge because when I applied, I did not get through in time. So I had to write a letter to them saying that I'm working in the library for the past 6 years. And I didn't get through until the first week of class, August 28th, I got through to start the degree.
Wow, and school had started already.
That's correct.
All right. So we're going to come back to you a little later to find out exactly what you did at the university. But I want to go to Lisa. I mean, your story started off in a way that some persons would have been daunted in terms of the challenges that you were facing with your family, your mom, and your brother, and so on. But you were still able to cope and to continue to study with you. What it is that inspired you or helped you to get along with the program in spite of all these challenges?
Okay. For me, I have to say, I know for a fact, beyond the shadow of a doubt, my relationship with God. Um, I know everyone isn't God fearing, and some persons, may have differing views, but for me, that's my conviction. And I remember when I signed up, because the first time around, as you rightfully said, the first time around I signed up to do a master's program, I saw my mom ailing, and I'm like, I can't be studying to do a master's, and my mom is I can tell that she's gonna go. As I realized, things were going on, and this time around when I decided, hey, I'm gonna do this, I remember praying because I'm like, okay, Lisa, you have a lot more on your plate now. You're not free, single, and disengaged like you were at that time. And I remember saying, I am going to ensure that I still give you the time I normally give you. I'm going to still do what I have to do at church. I did reduce some things, I have to admit. But I spent a lot of time praying about what I did. I also made best friends with Google Calendar. We became like BFFs. So serious. So Open Campus's color was orange in my Google Calendar. And so time management was a big, big, big deal for me. That's right there just after God, right there, second in line. So I found I had to do that. I had to, I like how Donna talked about, is it stick-to-itiveness? That's it. I got it right. Right. I had to develop some of that because you can't come this far and then give up, So I said, Lisa, you are starting this thing and you're finishing it. So I had to set my mind, I'm going to finish. So I would say that, yeah, my commitment to God, my relationship with him kept me like had an inner peace kind of thing. Then my Google Calendar, everything was in there, including pick up your daughter, alarms to pick her up from school on time, and balance everything. So for people watching, no judgment, you don't beat it until you've tried it. So I did have to do a lot of that. And a lot of pep talks at home, like, okay, everybody, everything's all right. Buy the KFC, you'll be fine. So I did have to make some shifts, I will admit.
Prices as well.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry?
Lisa,
Yes.
as a parent, I know that can be a very challenging aspect for someone who is a mom or who is a dad, and they're going back to studying. They don't want to take that necessarily, make that child, especially if they're younger, make them feel like they're being, for lack of a better word, neglected. How would you say you manage that dynamic, especially with your daughter?
Okay. I would say, first of all, though, we had a chat. And so that's where the term grown up school came about. Because, like I said, at the time, she would have been, actually, she may have been about 4 or 5, but definitely around 5. And I spoke to her and I said, I'm going to be going to grown up school. So we had that talk. And along the way, I continue, chatting as I would do what I have to do. One of the things I would say for sure, though, is that I had to call in on all artillery. So it was granny, auntie, everybody I could find, because, my mom would have passed, as I mentioned before. So it was, her paternal granny at the time. And I would call everybody, say, okay, friends, family, everybody, I need all hands on deck, because I didn't want her to feel that sense of mommy's always quote unquote away, because even though I'm home, I'm away. And I would even add to that, I had to be intentional about setting times that were, these times were just for her,
Yeah,
where we
family.
would spend time. Yes. So I had to carve out time to spend. I will add in, though, as well, my brother, he's, I would say, autistic. Over the years, I think we've had some challenges here in Barbados trying to quite put a finger on it. But with his challenges, I actually realized that he tended to crave some attention to at points in time. So I realized I had to make some shifts there too, So I would say, okay, everybody, pack some stuff. We're gonna go by the beach, or, of course I'm sleepy, but we're going by the beach or go by a park. So I did have to try to balance the two of them. Um, and so on. But my husband, he was a true person. He was all right through the process. He was all
Oh,
right through the
no
process,
hard
but
feet.
yeah, but for her, it was a lot of conversation and, the rubbing of the back while you're listening to the lecturer, that kind of thing.
All right, there you go. Donna, you have listened to that, and you mentioned some of your challenges. What kept you going, and that's made you say to yourself, I am not going to quit?
Okay, one is my relationship with God, and two, I have a brother that I really encourage to go further and to do. So when he started his degree, and I said to him, okay, you go ahead. The very next year, he said to me, so what are you waiting for? So he was a motivating factor in helping me to push forward.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So then both of you would have been at university together for his last 2 years and your first two.
Or a little bit more.
There's brother. There's brother.
A little bit more than that, because of working full time, I had to be doing it part time.
Right.
And I can't ever forget Miss Griffith, who she took on the baton, and during the last 2 years, she has been a helping hand in helping me to reach this goal.
And by that you mean Levine Griffith?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, we know her and her stick-to-itiveness as well, and encouragement.
She's cheering you on in the chat as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Cherise.
Donna, I want to ask you, you said that you started your educational journey later at 30 years old?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you speak to us about, I know sometimes it might be a bit intimidating as quote unquote a mature student going back into the classroom and doing certain things that where you may have students who are in their early 20s who are 18, 19. How how was that for you? How was that experience? What words of encouragement do you have to offer persons who are that age and older as well, who are now starting out or who want to start out on this journey?
Well, for me, it's because of the encouragement I will continue to say I received from my brother. And we both started a little bit late, mine later, but the fact is, once you have a determination and you want to achieve, you let nothing stop you. It doesn't matter the obstacles, it doesn't matter the hardship. My mommy, she tried, but had challenges with my real father because of some form of abuse. And because of that, I just didn't see, I think myself as worthless. I don't think I could ever, quote unquote, reach UE or even achieve anything good. But because of encouragement I received and my determination, then I pressed forward.
Wow, you guys are really inspiring. Lisa, I think your mic is muted. Yeah, you guys are really, really inspiring. I'm really, I mean, the objective of this program, as Sherry said in her introduction, this is a special issue of Let's Talk Access, because normally in Let's Talk Access, we're talking about programs that we're offering. But really and truly, this is really amazing stuff to hear the stories, the testimonials of both of you ladies, one from Jamaica, very different circumstances, and one from Barbados, very, very different circumstance. I know that, Donna, you, even though you had your beginnings at the open campus and your prerequisites were done there, you went on to Mona. So we're going to get back to that and how that worked out. But Lisa, you chose the open campus even though you're a Barbadian and you live and work in fact, the K-Ville campus is just 2 minutes up from where you work.
Yeah.
Lisa, what was the deal breaker in terms of you choosing the open campus?
Okay. And let me just plug in 2 minutes from where I work and about 5, maybe 10 in traffic from where I live. So I'm really not far. But for me, when I thought about it, I said to myself, I'm not going to be progressing in life and sacrificing my family. That was that was it for me. When I researched most of the master's programs, they were, like quite a few hours you would spend and quite a number of days per week on evenings after work. So when I thought about it, I said, I can't have my daughter bouncing around. And then because of my brother's challenges, I know that he can't necessarily prepare, like his major meals and so on. And then sometimes my husband has really long hours in terms of evenings and so on. So I said there has to be stability. One of us has to be at home. And at this point in time, it would need to be me. And like I said, I think I remember it being at some type of fair or showcase type of thing where I saw open campus and was first introduced to it. And I think it went into a file in the back of my mind. So when I was searching and I said, I can't do these long hours at UE, but I want my master's, you know? And then when I met up on open campus, when I went there and I spoke with Althea there, she gave me the
She's a
full run
gem.
through. Pardon?
She's a gem.
Oh, yes, precious. Precious. I mean, she gave me the full run through when I read through the leaflet. I was like, yeah, this is a better fit for me. So honestly, the main thing for me was the time. Mind you, the work took a lot of time.
Good
It took a
convenience.
lot of time, but I could do it at 3 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. and everybody's sleeping.
Right.
Sometimes I could come in from work, get everybody settled, do dinner, jump on online. There've been times I'm sure my computer almost got cooked in the kitchen, but I was able to. I love the flexibility. For me, I would say was the real root of my deal breaker. The flexibility, being able to be who I need to be at home and still progress.
Great. Donna, was that your case too in terms of your prerequisites that you did at the open campus?
Okay.
Dr. Sam, can you repeat?
I was asking if the flexibility was a factor for you as well, why you did your prerequisite courses at the open campus.
Donna, I think you're referring to Donna or Lisa?
No, Donna, I was asking. Oh, I guess you didn't get the question.
No, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Right, I was asking to you if flexibility was also a factor in your decision with your prerequisites that you did at the open campus.
Because I was working there and most of the classes, I finished work at 4:30 at the time and classes started at 5:30. I was able to fit in. So it was much better at open campus.
Okay, great. So the convenience was important. All right, Cherise?
Yes. I want to go back to Lisa in terms of, you said flexibility was your main reason for selecting the open campus. But we know that some persons are not accustomed to the online facility. It can be a very new aspect, a very intimidating aspect. What can you say to those persons who need to take hold of this opportunity that Open Campus is offering with this online platform, but maybe intimidated to do so?
The first thing I would say to them is, I was like you. You know, I literally said to my friends, oh no, you know, over the years, no, I have to be in a classroom. I need a classroom. I need a physical classroom. That was my thing all the time. So what I would say to persons, and I think honestly, this experience with COVID-19 has taught a lot of us that we could cope with a lot more than we think we can cope with. And for me, even as an educator, a lot of us were thrown when we had to switch to online teaching. So flipping back to being an online student, I think it's about mindset, excuse me, and determining that you can do it. What I do like is that the Open Campus has that initial orientation course, and the course actually takes you through the process. Thankfully, it doesn't go towards your credits. But this course, you actually, you know, you submit assignments, you literally get to practice everything you would do in your degree. But in this course, before you actually start, you had to do it before you went into your actual courses. Then I found that the lecturers made it easy in terms of, you know, like when you're on, they would say, okay, everyone, make sure you have this, you have your mics, because everybody was getting accustomed to it. So I found that was encouraging as well. I must say, I also like the setup of, I think it's Blackboard Collaborate is the name of the program that's used. I like the interface of it. I like the fact that I could go on and all my course, my stuff is there and I could organize myself. So if persons may be knocking something before they've explored, and I always believe that you don't set your mind up against something until you have done your due diligence, do your research, check it out properly before you say, I can't do this. So I think I was in the guilty category before saying I can't do this.
You're a convert
But
now.
yes, fully washed and baptized into online. And I told somebody the other day, hey, I want to do my doctorate, but I can't see myself going back to classroom. Who would have thought, right? That I would come to this point of thinking, I can't quite go back to classroom studying. But I think you have to try it before you say I can't.
All right, awesome stuff, awesome stuff. And yes, we do have several doctoral programs, Doctor of Education in Teaching and Learning with Emerging
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yes, as well as education leadership. And with that, there are two streams. You can do the higher education or you can do school management.
Wonderful. Just putting a little plug, right?
Yeah.
Noted, note to self.
All right.
Noted.
So let's talk about what you have actually done at university. So Donna, let's start with you. So you went to the open campus at Camp Road, which is in Kingston, and you did all your prerequisites and so on, and you applied to do what at the Mona campus?
I applied to do the BA in Library and Information Studies.
Right. And how did that go?
Well, as I mentioned before, the beginning was a challenge, and straight from beginning to end proved to be a real challenge. Because one, I didn't think I can do it. Two, I'm not quick at the ball. And three, when I want to study, I think I want to sleep. So the hours are long because leaving from Camp Road to go on campus, I have to take two transportation. And then sometime because my work, okay, for one given day on a Monday, I had to leave home, reach to work by 9 o'clock, leave for class at 12 o'clock on the Mona campus, go back to Camp Road to start working again, and probably leave at 5 to go back to a class. And the class might be a 1 hour, and then I have to go back to work because work finishes at 8:30 in the library.
Wow. Wow. So that was really a lot. And so you were there as a part-time student, I'm sure.
I was a part-time student.
Okay. All right. And so you are now graduating.
Yes.
So congratulations, you stood the course, your stick-to-itiveness worked, and you're graduating in January, is it?
That's correct. But
right.
University life was a bit of a challenge for me because I can first, when I'm looking for my grades, I have to wonder if I should because I wonder what the grades will be like.
Right.
Or if they're going to bar me. I got barred several times. Then there is this man by the name of T.A.I. Each time I get a letter in my inbox from him, oh boy, after crying, go to the dean's office. I remember at one point when I went to the dean's office, all they did was to give me some tissue because they know that I'm crying. Because they say at one point he says, I cannot continue the course because my average is low. So my determination, I went to the dean's office and says, yes, it's not everybody will get an A, but a person can stick to it. And even if they fail and they keep trying, they can succeed. And this I did. So for many years, I go to the dean's office crying. And I remember at one point, the person in the office said, okay, I'll give you 1 year to improve your grades. I remember, okay, I'll take the year, but still, I know I'm going to fail something because the challenge of going to and from, it's until Miss Griffith came and I spoke to her and she saw the challenges that I was having going to and from. Then she make allowances, which I genuinely and really appreciate. So at the end, when Mr. Tai, he sent the letter now. You have been successful in completing your degree. I was there like laughing all the way. This is a man that sent me the letter to say that I have to discontinue the course, and no, he sent me that letter.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yes, I have to say congratulations too. And I actually was just there listening to you, and I am so encouraged. I would love to even take your story. For my students to hear, because sometimes we think that everything is going to be a bed of roses, and sometimes we even say, but when challenges come, I don't know if I'm going to make it. But I love the fact that you said that you went and you made a case for yourself and you kept
Cried.
pushing. Well, yeah, she cried. She did
Cried.
cry and made a case along with the
Yes.
tears, but I am inspired. I'm inspired by your story. Yeah, I just had to put
You
that in
should
there.
be inspired as well, right,
And
Sherry?
that's very inspiring.
Yeah, I have to watch myself here with my eyes felt a little watery.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Donna and Lisa, as both working women who have gone on this journey, which you both openly admitted was very challenging, especially to balance with your day jobs. What words can you give to employers who are in the situation where they have persons in their workforce who is going on this adventure of sorts? What would you like them to know?
Starting with me.
Yes, we can
Okay.
start with you. As you mentioned, your supervisor, your boss, and she was able to assist you in whatever way possible. What general words do you have for employers who are in this same position?
It's very important that you talk to your boss and your supervisor, because unless you tell them what is happening, unless you be their friends, to receive the support and the encouragement, then it makes life impossible. Because at times you need to be away from the job and you have certain things to do, like schoolwork or assignments. If they can support you, if they know, and before you need that support, you must talk to them to let them know exactly what you're doing, what you're going through, in order for them to be of help to you. So talk to them. You don't have to go into your personal business, but talk to them as it relates to your job and your studies.
Thank you. Lisa?
Yes, I agree with all that Donna said, so I'm not going to reiterate the same points. I wanted to springboard though from the point where she talked about talking to them and talking. I think one of the things that's important is dialogue. And as an employer or aim, I'm saying oral, like I'm really thinking ahead. The aim shouldn't be just for your employees to come in and do a job, but for them to self-actualize as well. Because when your employees feel good about themselves and their progress and achieving more fulfilling dreams and goals and all of that, you get a happier, more productive employee. And I think too, you need to create a culture within the workplace that allows persons or even encourages persons to want to study or want to do something. I know one of the things I do with my team, the team of teachers that works with me, I tell them all the time, especially at the start of a school year, I say, what are your dreams? What are your goals? Yes, we're here to teach, but we are multifaceted. So I think in organizations, and employers shouldn't get threatened. Okay, I know that's a difficult conversation to have, but I'm willing to go there. I think sometimes some employers get threatened when employees are seeking to become more qualified. And I think you yourself as an employer, you need to make sure you're comfortable in who you are and the progress you're making, so that as your employees begin to progress, you don't feel threatened and you encourage them, you create the path that they can walk in it. Donna mentioned in terms of hours and flexibility. And again, you have some dialogue. You create an atmosphere where if the person has to go to a class at this time or whatever, you juggle and you work around, have some flexi hours or something where you can. So for me, those are my main things for employer. That culture of progression and what's the word? Where you're constantly learning, right? Lifelong learning, creating that culture of lifelong learning. Because, right, when you have a more educated work staff and people are really good at what they do and well trained, come on, I mean, it works out better for you and for the organization.
Win-win.
Um,
Win-win for everyone.
can I just add something?
Yes.
Because for me, the thing is, Miss Griffiths is the type of person who she enjoys studying and she doesn't keep it for herself. She encourages you to do it. So persons who want to do it, then once they talk to her, she'll give them the helping hand to go further. And that is what I appreciate much of her.
Well, kudos to Levine Griffith, and I'm sure she's is following on Facebook right now. So Levine, take a bow from your employee, your coworker, Donna Wallace, and all that you have done to help her and the others there at Camp Road, and indeed in your division in Jamaica. So Lisa, we haven't heard what you actually did at the Open Campus. What was the master's program you did, and how has it been helping you in your teaching career?
Okay, my master's program was management and educational leadership. So for me, I do want to become at some point in time a principal. One school, I don't know which school or when, but I pray that the opportunity presents itself. So here in Barbados, you do have to have a master's degree, and you need to be qualified in educational leadership. So that particular program will help me in that long term. Well, I'm not going to say long term goal. I'm going to say short to medium term. You know, I'm going to speak short to medium term. And I would say one of the things it did really help me with immediately was actually being more effective in the teaching of my sixth form classes, because the techniques and stuff that I was learning and the actual information I was able to transfer to them and better prepare them for university. So I found a lot of them transition to university. Here, you know, we are Cave Hill. So a lot of them transitioned there and they were comfortable with the transition. So I found it did help me to be a better teacher of the Cape subjects. And in terms of the educational leadership, I found that I was able to even transfer a lot of that into my team and to be a better leader overall.
The ND is waiting for you.
Pardon?
The Doctor of Education is waiting for you.
Okay.
So I think the deadline is on Friday, the 4th of December, for the postgrad to start in January. Right, Cherise?
Yes.
Cherise, don't agree with him. I think I'm gonna continue catching my breath for right now.
Okay. Well, we also
But
have an intake in September, so you can take a break.
We have multiple intakes, so whenever you're ready.
oh, so you
There
are
you go.
joining him. Okay, thank you.
She's part of the master team, Lisa.
Oh, I should have known.
So what else? Well, I mean, that leads very nicely into my next question,
Yes,
really.
what?
What else is in store for both of you ladies moving forward, academically, professionally, otherwise? What else is in store?
Well, it is my desire to become the librarian. And hence, I might have to do some more studying, which I'll follow behind my brother's footstep.
Okay, awesome. So you're looking to do the master's in library science or something?
Or something.
Or something. But so when you graduated in January as well,
That's
Donna.
correct. Yes.
So let's just talk a little bit about how have you been able to actually apply what you've been learning in that bachelor's in library science to your actual job, because you're the librarian or assistant librarian at the Open Campus in Jamaica.
I like how you put it, but I'm just a library clerk presently. But
Well,
I see where you're I see where you're predicting the future.
There you go.
Yes. So yes, what I've learned, I'm able to apply in the library, and there's a lot of work to be done in moving forward, which I'm willing to take on that responsibility or any other that is given to me.
Lisa, where you
Yes.
heading to?
Yes, I was pondering deeply, but still wanted to take some time to listen to Donna. In terms of professionally, what I mentioned just now, that's really my dream. Um, and and for me, it's not about position or power. I just believe that educators are too often not cared for, not guided, not motivated. It is a profession that has very few perks. I'm saying that to be nice. And this is not just in terms of the Barbadian education system. Not at all. I'm not, making any knocks at all. But internationally, when you look at the profession of teaching, there aren't many fringe benefits and so on that you would get, within other areas and so on. But I want to be able to get to the place where I can influence teachers and influence an institution towards a high level of excellence. And for me, I realized that the change that I want to be able to effect, I can't do all of it from the bottom. So instead of, some people just complain about things, I decided I'm not going to complain about the change I want to see. I am going to work towards being the change. So professionally, that's what I'm working towards. And personally, I do find myself sometimes grudgingly, but I find myself in some leadership roles. Um, one for example, in my church setting, and my I would say my pastor and mentor, Roseanne King, wonderful lady. She is one that pushes leadership, and she pushes us to be the best version of ourselves and never to it's like what you mentioned, Donna, with Miss Griffith is the name you mentioned, where she's progressing but she's pulling along others. That's how Roseanne is for me. She's progressing and pulling me along. So I want to be a better leader overall. So those are my main goals. And of course, ultimately, stay committed to the Lord and be a good mommy. A good mommy, a good wife, good sister, that kind of thing. Because to me, we need to be all rounders and never be pushing to be so professional that the people who we care about the most suffer. I think that's something I hope, if nothing else, whoever is watching, you take whatever you take away, that it's great to progress. It's great to climb the ladder and do all these things, but it should never be at the expense of those you love the most and those who love you the most.
Wow, touching. Really, really good stuff. I mean, I'm there with you. Family is like the most important thing for us, regardless of what happened, in our lives, professionally or otherwise. So I'm really there with you, Donna. I mean, this has really been awesome stuff. We only have about 5 minutes to go. Believe it or not, we have been doing 53 minutes according to my watch so far. And for me, I can quiz you guys all night, but we only have 1 hour, so we have about less than 4 minutes to go now. So I just want to look in terms of, I mean, obviously, I think you have inspired people. I just had a look at the Facebook chat, and it's real all positive, good stuff. Go people, go guys, and so on. But I know for you, Lisa, and certainly for you, Donna, I'm sure there are people in Jamaica, whether it's in your community, at the open campus, at Mona campus, who have seen you progress regardless of the struggles. I want you to leave with them some word of encouragement, both you and Lisa, in terms of, but Lisa, it's probably your fellow teachers, not just at LSD, but throughout the education system. Leave them with some word of encouragement that they can take away and say, you know what, on the second, not the third, on the 2nd of December 2020, Lisa Dottin said these things and they touched me, or Donna Wallace from Jamaica said these things and touched me. Take it away. Pondering, pondering.
For me, um, having close associates and close friends, teachers who really care for you. I'll never forget Dr. Eve from the library school, because she was the one who helped me at times when I feel that I couldn't go on. Then she was there. Talisha Baker, who is my supervisor, she was there. She called me from time to time. How are you doing? Are you studying? Make sure you're studying, and so forth. So you have persons like my brother who says, how are you doing? And they're always there to encourage you. And even if they're not there, just a call, a kind words of encouragement, um, it helps you to move forward in completing whatever tasks I had to complete.
Okay, for me, I echo Donna's sentiments, and when I think back, I I have to first start with gratitude. I am eternally grateful to my family for sure, and probably for tolerating me sometimes when I was on edge, deadlines coming up. I really appreciate the unswerving support. And also, I have to, because I had a different principal at the time, Colonel Errol Brathwaite, Lieutenant Colonel Errol Brathwaite, and he was like, "Go right ahead, whatever information you need in the school, no problem, whatever." And he just opened the path, and I also was really pleased with my deputy principal, who would have been kind of like, more so the HR role. When I would go to him like, "Sir, I just can't make it. I don't know." He was say, "Okay, so take a little time, go and do what you have to do." I found he was understanding and so on. So those are two persons who, for me, would have been my direct superiors, who really paved the way for me to be able to do what I had to do. And at the time, my pastor at church, Patrick Rakes, I found that he was also, he would have paved the way as well and said, if you're studying and you need to cut back on some things, no problem. So people may not realize at the time, it may seem like a small thing, but when they open the path for you to just be able to grow, it is a beautiful experience. So similar to you, Donna, I am grateful to the persons who allowed me to be able to spread my wings and to be able to fly. And for anybody who is, you're thinking of doing some studies, I have to say the experience at Open Campus was great. I did not expect it at all, because you're thinking graduate level, I'm gonna die halfway through this. But the experience was great. I think back and it was great. It's good. It
Awesome
was good.
stuff. Really awesome. And just doing this interview tonight with you guys was a great experience for me. So it was so fulfilling. I mean, it was absolutely amazing stuff. I am really impressed and I am motivated myself. Sherry, it's over to you.
Yes, I want to echo Dr. Sam in that sentiment, especially since I too am going on my journey. And we just want to thank you for sharing your story with us tonight. So we want to thank everyone for taking the time out tonight to join us and for making this program a success. We especially want to thank both of you, Miss Donna Wallace and Mrs. Lisa Dottin, for your inspirational stories and for joining us. Dr. Sam?
Right. Also, of course, I want to thank the team who made the program possible, the technical team, Patrick Johnson, David Foster, and Marcia Reed, who will be monitoring our social media platforms with the questions and queries. So until next time, I am Cleveland Sam.